everybody, this is DDoS the BDRP. I know you've probably seen this footage reviewed over on the DW's channel. I just want to take a look at it, and we're going to do a little bit something different. I'm going to try to sharpen and enhance the footage a little bit, but what's there is there. What you see is what's there. And we'll take a look, and I'll give my thoughts on it. Thanks again for joining me. Now, you guys seen this originally over on DW's channel. It's a short clip. It's looped. There's a few things I want to take a look at. And at the very end, I actually tried to do some enhancement to it. Only so much you can do to a copy of a copy. But first thing I'd like to point out is this is a daytime sighting. First, I thought this was fake, but there's a few elements in it that sort of make me think otherwise. Now, DW did a great job pointing out a lot of the ethereal stuff that's taking place in this clip. By ethereal, I mean like the spiritual weirdness that's going on around it. And when we sharpened it, color corrected it a little bit, you can kind of see a little bit more of that. Now, the creature, or the being, seems to be bent at the knee. It's crouched down. You can even see its eye moving, which is very, very strange, even with this type of this bad of footage. Now look to the left, which would be the creature's left arm. Past him, it looks like a face right there in the foreground. You can see actual facial movement. You see it blink. That's, I believe, it could be physical, but I do believe it is one of the ethereal beings. You also see the physical creature begin to blink. This is what I talk about, and you're going to see other examples. I'm going to try to tackle that this week, because a lot of folks don't understand when we say the spiritual and ethereal. I'm very interested to know what you guys think of this. Again, here in a sec, we're going to take a look at a sharpened version of it. And that's all I did. I sharpened the footage just a little bit because of the pixelation. It may be someone's phone. I'm pretty sure it is. So the quality of the film isn't super duper great, but it's good enough where you can actually make out a figure there and some small details. So let's jump over on there and see if there's any discernible differences that we can find with the sharpened version. Alright, if nothing else, it brightens it up just a tad bit with color correction, and it adds some sharpness, which will superimpose that layer on there so you can kind of tell the foreground from the background. And if we look to the creature's left again, let's see if we can see that face and those blinks, or see if that is some sort of pixelation, or I mean, it almost looks like there's movement back there. Where's that little boy's mama and daddy, or uncles, or big sister? That's probably big sister with the phone. He's pointing like, what the? How creepy is that, the way this thing is just sitting and staring too? Like, now, it's still hard to tell in the foreground when they focus in like that. The leaves are a lot different shape than whatever's taking place in the back, but still not discernible enough, even when it's sharpened, to say that for a fact. So I may stand corrected. Who knows? There's all sorts of, like I said, spiritual mumbo jumbo and weirdness taking place. I'm sure a lot of you will see these faces, and I know that our minds are set up to recognize faces and shapes and symmetry, especially in the woods. And, you know, that's ingrained into us. But if you look at the creature's face, like, with just a little bit of sharpness to it, I mean, I don't know, it's very strange. And right next to it, I can see what seem to be faces that are phasing in and out. But on the creature itself, you can see the eye socket. You can actually see it move. So if that's a mask, it's a hell of a mask. in front of it where there are no leaves, you see some discoloration, and that may be from the sharpening, but I doubt it very seriously. A lot of people said that this may be a guy. If that's a guy, he's got a lot going on. Again, look at the size of the head. If it's a mask, then it's strange the way he has his head cocked, and it's not actually distorting the mask because it looks like it's all attached. And half of his face, I know it's maybe impeded by shadows, but it almost looks like half of his face is just that black fur. And the way the shadows fall when it shows the little boy. It's a very strange piece of footage, to say the least. Now, the surprised look on the young man's face when he was pointing at this thing, I don't think this is anybody in some costume pulling a flim flam. If it is a man in a costume, the costume's phenomenal, even with the pixelation and the low quality of the camera. So if you look very, very closely, you see one eye socket, and you can see a pupil, and you see the other side, there's a discoloration, so that may be an indication of a shadow. Again, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this thing. It's a pretty crazy piece of footage.